Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Pat's Pulpit pregame show. It is week 4 of the NFL season. The New England Patriots are really fighting for their lives already at this point, which is unbelievable to say. But before we jump into this week's games, first off, Alec, how you doing?
I'm all right, my man. I'm gearing up to head to the game later on today. I have been to one Patriots game a year for the past 19 years or so, keeping the tradition alive. And little did I know that this week 4 matchup between the Miami Dolphins and the Patriots would be as close to a must-win as you can get this early in the year.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, really. And I think that's a good place to start is looking at the AFC East because right now the Miami Dolphins are 3-0. The New England Patriots are 1-2, as are the Bills and the Jets. We should talk about the chances of all of those teams and for this specific week because the Bills are on the road against the Packers. The Jets are on the road against the Jaguars. Patriots are hosting the Dolphins. There's a very real chance at the end of this week that the Dolphins could have they already have a 2-game lead on the division. They could have a 3-game lead and have the head-to-head against the Patriots already.
Yeah, it's remarkable to think about. I mean, the Bills looked good last week, but the Packers are a very different beast. And the Jaguars and Jets is kind of a toss-up. Both teams didn't look that good last week, but the Dolphins have looked pretty lights out this early part of the year in 2018. And the Patriots are struggling, as we know. If the Patriots were to go down 3 games to the Dolphins plus the tiebreaker, that's a hole you can get out of, but it's a very deep hole to get out of. And that would really dictate and change the climate of the entire rest of the year. So a lot's riding on today's games.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's do a quick prediction for these games in the division. Bills on the road against 1-1 Green Bay Packers. Do the Bills look as good as they did last week with Josh Allen at the helm, or do they lose because they're on the road against the Green Bay Packers and the Packers have a potentially really good team?
Yeah, Packers win this one, I think. I think maybe last week was a little bit of an aberration. Maybe the Bills were so bad the first 2 weeks, the Vikings kind of slept on them. That happens sometimes. Even Aaron Rodgers at about 40%, which is what he's at right now, even 50%, he's still better than most quarterbacks in the league, including Josh Allen. Packers win this one today.
All right, and then I agree with that. Other game, Jets are on the road against the Jaguars. Jaguars just creamed the Patriots in week 2, but they looked awful last week against the Tennessee Titans. They lost 9-6 in a truly Blake Bortlesian performance. The Jets, they looked amazing in week 1 against the Detroit Lions, who beat the Patriots last week, but then they've just kind of been very mediocre afterwards. Can the Jets pull this one off on the road?
That's a good question. This is kind of a toss-up for me. I'm going to go with the Jaguars because when I ever have a toss-up, I default to the home team. Darnold on the road, you just don't know. He's too young to really dictate what his road presence is like. So Jags, if the Jets win, I won't be surprised.
Yeah, and so at the end of today, I would not be shocked. I mean, all these games are at 1 p.m., so we'll know pretty early on. I would expect that both the Bills and the Jets to be 1-3. Then you got the Patriots and the Dolphins, which will definitely break down. But there are a couple other games that I want to touch on before we speak about Miami versus New England. We have the Browns versus the Raiders at 4 p.m. Browns have the chance to have a winning record. They are 1-1 right now. They could get to 2-1, which would be quite exciting for them. Can the Raiders, they looked awful so far. Can the Raiders get their first win of the year?
I don't know who I'm rooting for. In the booth, I've always had kind of a soft spot for the Raiders and their fans. But you got to go with the Browns here, right? You got to think the Browns can finally get off the schneid and have their first winning record since 2000 and I don't even know when the last their winning record was. I've lost track. But that said, I think the Raiders win today, unfortunately, and the Browns are still in the basement.
Oh, awful. I think that the Browns are going to be able to pull this one off just because they have a really strong defense. Baker Mayfield, I think, is already better than half the starting quarterbacks in the league. They got Jarvis Landry really playing well. So I think they get the opportunity to get to 2-1. Maybe they do a Browns thing and just fall on their face at the end, but I think they'll be in a really good position to win it at the end of the game, if not already have it running away. Later on, I would have to say that the best 2 games of this week, I should say, actually, the best game that already took place, the Vikings against the Rams. Rams are now 4-0. They beat the Vikings 38-31 on Thursday Night Football. The best games to go. Sunday Night Football, you got the Ravens against the Steelers. The Ravens are 2-1. They're on the road against the 1-1 Steelers. I guess maybe who do you even think is going to win this one? The Steelers are just Jekyll and Hyde every single year. You get Ben Roethlisberger. Who knows what he's going to do? Antonio Brown's been kind of quiet. Juju Smith-Schuster's been huge. Le'Veon Bell is not playing. And then you got the Ravens, and just Joe Flacco is Joe Flacco. What's your read on that game?
Yeah, I mean, this is always a tough game to pick because it's a divisional matchup. Ravens are one of the better rivalries in the NFL. Steelers are the home team tonight, I believe. So I'm gonna default to the home team. I think the Steelers they looked better last week. Their kicking game's not great. The running game is spotty. They're very inconsistent. But again, it's still early in the year. A lot of teams are still finding their feet. And so I still don't think the Ravens are that good a team. I look at that roster. There's really nothing that really impresses me on that side. So I'm going to go with the Steelers in this one. One of the classic Ravens Steelers kind of beat them up, grind them out games. Maybe this is a very low scoring game, a big defensive battle. Maybe like a 14-9 kind of game, Pittsburgh, something like that.
Oh, but it should be a good game at least, though. I'm actually thinking it's going to be a super high-scoring affair just because I don't really trust either of their defenses. So I could see this being like the same thing as the Rams versus the Vikings, both teams in the 30s, and it all comes down to, Justin Tucker field goal at the end of the day. I think that the Ravens actually are going to be able to pull off the upset. I know that the Steelers play up to the level of competition, but I think the Steelers team is just super disappointing, and that's just going to be how it is. Last game before we talk about the Patriots and the Dolphins, Monday Night Football. 3-0 Chiefs are on the road against the 2-1 Denver Broncos. Broncos have been very solid this year, but Pat Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, they look kind of unbeatable in the AFC. How do you see that one going?
Yeah, this is the game of the week, and I'm glad it's on Monday Night Football. Mahomes I think he's an early lead for MVP candidate. He scored much more touchdowns through 3 weeks than any quarterback in history. Went up against a good defense at Denver, Mile High, difficult place to play. This is a good place for Patriots fans to be because I think either way, you can be happy with the result of this game. The Chiefs win, the Broncos are down a peg. If the Broncos win, the Chiefs no longer undefeated. Momentum's gone. Maybe Mahomes is the kind of guy where once he has that loss, what's that Mike Tyson's quote? Everyone's got a plan to get hit in the mouth. Maybe if he gets hit in the mouth, but the Denver defense will come back to earth a little bit. So this is a good game either way. I think there are positives you can take away as a Patriots fan from this game. But I think the Chiefs, until they show me that they're going to be slowing down in any capacity, I'm going to keep going with them. It's still early in the season, so they'll do the usual 6-0 start and then finish 9-7. So it's not 6-0 yet. So let's go with the Chiefs for the next couple of weeks or so, and then they'll come down to earth.
I'm with you 100%. First quarter of the season is Andy Reid's time to shine. Chiefs will move on to 4-0. They could crush the Broncos. I wouldn't be shocked. The Chiefs have a tendency every single year to be the team that no one wants to face in the playoffs. And so they're going to hold that mantle until, as you said, all of a sudden they finish the year 9-7 and people are going to be scratching their heads. So those are the most important games around the league. Let's go talk about the Dolphins on the road against the Patriots right now. Right, the Patriots have looked awful the past 2 weeks. The Dolphins have looked pretty good. You can't be bad and get to 3-0. That would just be a weird thing. There are some terrible 3-0 teams that do exist. Dolphins might be one of them. I think they have a solid offense. They have a solid enough defense, but I'm not willing to buy into the fact that they are any risk of running the table for this year because they've beaten the Tennessee Titans, who are not very good. They beat the New York Jets, who are not very good. And then they beat the Oakland Raiders, who are very not good. And so those three teams, now they're on the road against the Patriots, a very angry and hungry Patriots team. How do you, let's just start on the offensive side of the ball for New England. What do you think New England's offense is going to do?
A lot of 3-and-outs, screens to James White, and overthrow to Philip Dorsett.
Oof.
No, that's not what's going to happen. That was last week. They're not going to do that again. The real problem with the offense the past couple of weeks, they've been very predictable. The receivers haven't been able to get separation. Tight end, safeties, and cornerbacks have been double covering Gronk. He's been more or less a ghost the first couple of weeks. And with Gronk double covered, other receivers can't get open. Cordell Patterson's running the wrong routes. I think it's been a very, very bad kind of series of events for the Patriots receivers. And it's more or less been the James White show for the past couple of weeks. I see that changing this week. Not necessarily because the Dolphins defense is bad. They have some good cornerbacks. I think Xavier Howard's a good quarterback. I like Cornell Armstrong, even though he's a rookie. I think that it's going to be more a matter of adjusting, making sure the routes are simpler, receivers can get open. And as far as I know, Josh Gordon should be suiting up today. They're very happy with his progress over the past couple of days for practice and since he's been on the Patriots. And even with him on the field, if he does nothing besides just stand there with his arms crossed, that will change the entire dynamic of how the Patriots can operate offensively, how the Dolphins can operate defensively. So I expect the Patriots receiver to have a little bit more of a bounce back day today.
Yeah, I have to expect that too. Xavier Howard has been lights out. I think there's a stat that since week 9 of last season or week 11, he's only allowed like 23 receptions or something like that. And he also has 7 interceptions. And so it's just like, it's not a good chance if you throw it against Howard. I'm sure Brady's actually responsible for like 4 of those interceptions. And so he will be locking it down. I spoke with our Dolphins writers at the Finsider, and they were talking about how their weakness is at linebacker and at safety right now because Rashad Jones is dealing with an injury. TJ McDonald is not a good coverage safety. He's their strong safety. So you got Kiko Alonso out there. Jerome Baker, I believe, is playing a little bit. Raekwon McMillan. The Kiko Alonso is like a solid enough guy. He might be able to cover the running backs. Jerome Baker's fast. He's small. But no one's really able to keep up with Gronk in the same way that the Jaguars had Telvin Smith, Miles Jack, and how they're able to carry him into the safety level. And in the same way that the Lions were like, we're just going to dedicate 2 safeties onto him. I don't know if that's what the Dolphins are going to do. And if that's the case, then Gronkowski could have a big day. But because Xavier Howard is so good, I do not expect anything out of Chris Hogan, which is just so disappointing because if I had to point to one player who has regressed the most this year, has been the biggest letdown, I would say it's Chris Hogan because I was expecting him to do much better with his role over the first 4 weeks of the season while Julian Edelman was suspended. He has 7 catches for 84 yards and 2 touchdowns. Do you think Chris Hogan can do anything this week, or is this ultimately when Julian Edelman returns next week, we're just going to see Julian Edelman and Josh Gordon for the rest of the year?
You know, it's funny. I think you're right on Chris Hogan. I can't disagree with the numbers of the numbers. But again, Chris Hogan, he's a number 3 receiver. I think that's where he really shines in the WR3 spot. That's where he's best. Complimentary receiver to get open while other guys are drawing the attention away. I think he's being asked to step into the basically number 1 receiver role. I guess him and Philip Dorsett are kind of sharing it right now, and it's really not where he's built to play best, I think. I think with Josh Gordon on the field, if he is on the field, that should help him. Again, I'm not sure what to expect out of him today, if he'll even play, but if once he comes back, I think Hogan will start to see a little bit of a revival. Same thing with Edelman. I think when Edelman comes back, Hogan will start to see a bit of a revival because he's not the kind of guy that can beat the number 1, number 2 corner. He can beat the number 3 corner, no problem. He can find the holes in the zone, and he can get his money that way. So he's playing above his pay grade right now and not doing that well. But I think that once the bigger pieces in the Patriots offense comes back, he's going to be just fine to be the Hogan we know and love.
Yeah, ultimately, it's kind of surprising. By next week, we could honestly see Chris Hogan be the 5th option in the offense because you get your Gronk, you get your Gordon, you get your Edelman, you get your James White or Sony Michel out of the backfield. That's your 5th player out there. It's either your Chris Hogan, your Philip Dorsett, your Cordell Patterson, even your Jacob Hollister, to be quite honest. So you could see Chris Hogan in a far more reduced role, but that might be better for his production because he won't be going against the Jalen Ramseys of the world, to be going against whoever the 5th guy is on that defense that they're using to cover the offensive pieces. So maybe he'll break out against the Dolphins. I'm not going to hold my breath too much. I do expect this to be the Gronkowski and White show, and I actually really do expect, and this is going to be my X factor for the Patriots offense, this is the time that Sony Michel is going to break out. He's been pretty solid the first 2 games. I know he's been nothing like overly impressive, but they're his first 2 games. He missed the preseason. He was kind of thrust into a bigger role than expected because of Rex Burkhead's injuries. But with Burkhead injured, Michel is going to be the early down guy because Kenjon Barner and James White cannot run between the tackles on 1st and 2nd down. So Michel is already going to be on the field a lot. And I expect him just to finally be able to break through, just finally be able to get it because the offensive line has been letting him down a lot. But this is the game in my mind that all the pieces are going to fall into place and Michel could take over.
I like that because, he's the guy now, pretty much. The Rex Burkhead on IR. I don't think either Burkhead or Bentley are on the IR with return designations. They're done for the year. It is the Sony Michel show going forward, and he has to step up. He's got really no options. And so if he doesn't, I really don't know what they're going to do for running game. I like James White a lot, obviously, but he's not your goal and short back. He's your receiving back. He's your scat back, your change of pace guy. They'll have to look elsewhere. And they picked a very high first-round draft pick on him, so he's got to kind of step it up and make sure he can get it done. I'm going to kind of stay in that area. I like David Andrews as my X factor for this game. I think the Dolphins use a lot of complex blitz packages. They like to mix it up with the line a lot. They're a little hurt on the front four of the defensive line. And you said the linebackers are not great in coverage, but they're good blitzing linebackers. They're good run pickup linebackers. So calling out the blitzing schemes, calling out the blocking schemes is going to be a very important part of today's game, and that's what centers do. So David Andrews has to have a big game today. The Patriots offensive line has been struggling a little bit. Brady's been a little more under duress, and even when he has time, he's been inaccurate. So you got to make sure you give him plenty of time today. And it starts at the center with David Andrews. So hopefully David Andrews and Sony Michel can help dictate the game, keep Tom Brady upright, give receivers time to get open, separate them for the passing game, and get some points on the board.
Oh, absolutely. I think that with how the Patriots like to focus against this Dolphins defense, it will come down to David Andrews, because they're going to give a lot of respect to Cameron Wake and Robert Quinn on the edges, because that's what Belichick does. He thinks that Cameron Wake is the bee's knees, best thing since Dwight Freeney. And so if he's going to dedicate all of his additional resources to help them on the outside, David Andrews could get some players on an island in the middle. Davin Godchaux, he is currently injured. He's questionable for the game, but he's been a pretty solid defender in the middle. Then they get Jordan Phillips, who's been like mediocre, I guess. He's like the run stuffer, and you also get Akeem Spence. They got some players on that defensive interior that the New England Patriots should have the edge on, particularly Joe Thuney, David Andrews, Shaq Mason. They should all be able to win those matchups. If they can't, then this is just going to be a super long day for the Patriots. Another way that this could be a long day for the Patriots would be if their defense comes out and performs like they have for the past 10 quarters, the way that they've performed for 4.5 out of the past 5 games. The defense has been awful. Ryan Tannehill seems super comfortable in the Miami Dolphins offense under Adam Gase. How do you see that side of the ball playing out?
Yeah, I mean, the good news is Trey Flowers and Patrick Chung should be back in today. So that's a big boost to the defensive line in the middle of the field. But it's really all going to be about stopping the run today. I mean, Frank Gore is 35 years old, but that doesn't really even matter based on what we've seen earlier this season. If they can run and pick up 5-6 yards a clip, there's just nothing you can really do about that. I mean, 6 yards a carry is an absurd amount of yards to give up for a running back, and that opens up the entire playbook. You can run the underneath route. You can do the quick little out. You can do the screen. You can go deep once in a while. And it's going to be a very long day for the Patriots. They can't do that. So hopefully Trey Flowers can set the edge. Dante Hightower and the linebackers can clog up the middle. I want to see more out of Malcolm Brown and Danny Shelton and Lawrence Guy. They've been playing inconsistently, those three over the past couple of weeks. They have to do better. They're big dudes. The Patriots have them in there to stuff the middle up, force the run outside, and let guys like Trey Flowers stop them in the backfield. They haven't been doing that at all. So today's game, as usual, is going to be one of the loss in the trenches with the Patriots defense and the Dolphins defense. Whoever gets the better of that kind of initial push of the running back is kind of the edge, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Patriots defense has been super disappointing this year. They've allowed an average of 143 rushing yards per game, which is usually not an indicator that they're going to lose, but it means that the other team's winning a lot. So they feel like they can drain the clock. So that's not a good sign. But also that they've been throwing the ball a lot more easily. They've outgained the Patriots on average like 100 yards per game. That's completely unacceptable. And I honestly don't know if it's going to stop this week. I know that Trey Flowers and Patrick Chung's return will really help and give this Patriots defense a boost, but issues that we've seen over the past few weeks, they seem more schematic than anything, where they're not able to take away the passes in the middle of the field because the linebackers are too slow. Bentley's out. He was their best hope, and now they don't have fast linebackers. And so running backs can go wild. Kenyon Drake could have a big game. The interior receivers, so your Danny Amendolas and your Albert Wilsons of the world, could be very productive out of the slot. This is not the place where the Patriots want to be, because Adam Gase is a very smart offensive coach, and he will know exactly what it was that the Philadelphia Eagles did in the Super Bowl, what the Jaguars have done in the past 2 games, what the Detroit Lions did last week, and just really exploit that. And it isn't just a schematic issue for the Patriots defense. It's also a personnel issue where they don't have the players necessary to execute a better defense. They have a good pass rush. They have a good coverage unit, but it doesn't seem like they're good enough just from a talent perspective, where you have Stephon Gilmore, who's great at cornerback. You have Trey Flowers, who's great as a pass rusher. Everyone else kind of seems like they've been playing at a replacement, if not sub-replacement level for this entire year. And is it a mix of age? It's a mix of like being too young, a mix of just not having enough talent. All of those are the ingredients kind of for a disaster for New England.
Yeah, that's why Dante Hightower is my X factor for today, because he has talent. He's only 28. He's not too old. He's not too young. He was the guy they invested in. It was him or Chandler Jones, and they picked him, and it looked like a great decision for the past couple of years. And again, he will always be on my pass list for his play in the Super Bowls. However, he has been bad his first few years of the season. Not okay. He's been bad. He's been slow. He's been behind the ball. He's missing blowing coverages. He lost the green dot to a rookie. I just don't know exactly what's up with him. If it's mental, if it's physical, whatever it is, he has to get off whatever is bothering him today. He has to be that emotional leader. He has to be that presence in the middle of the field. He has to dictate the coverages, the blitzes. He's got to be the Dante Hightower we all fell in love with, because if he's not, and the Dolphins run wild today, I will be again, I still think they're going to be fine. It's going to be a good year for the Patriots, but if the Patriots will lose today, they're in a lot of trouble. I will gladly say that right now. And Dante Hightower is going to be the guy to make sure that doesn't happen.
That's a good one. I mean, linebacker is such an important part, not even just for what they've been weak at, but for how Bill Belichick always runs his defense. And maybe that is actually the answer right there, is that Belichick's defense are always better when they have good linebackers, and they just haven't had good linebackers in a pretty solid while. And I know that they made the Super Bowl 3 out of the past 4 years. So it's like you're really splitting hairs here a little bit. But in order for this defense to go from pretty good to great, you need to have Hightower playing at a higher level. So I agree with that. I'm going to go with my X factor up a little bit closer to that line of scrimmage. It's going to be with Malcolm Brown. That's my X factor. He has been very disappointing this year. He's my equivalent to Chris Hogan on defense, where I was expecting him to take a really big step forward this year. He's definitely regressed. He's been missing tackles a lot. Lawrence Guy is the best defensive tackle on the team. Wasn't expecting that. I was expecting Brown to really step up, Danny Shelton to play well. But with the Miami Dolphins probably looking to set the tone early with their running game, with Kenyon Drake, with Frank Gore, this is going to be a game where New England has to be able to stop it on the interior. They cannot have a repeat of what happened last week against the Detroit Lions, where they gave up the Lions' first 100-yard rusher since Thanksgiving 2013 in Reggie Bush. That's unacceptable. That just shows how poorly the Patriots' run defense played. Malcolm Brown really needs to step up. He's been a disappointment through 3 weeks. He really needs to just take this as the opportunity to make or break it in his contract year.
So make or break it is a good transition into the predictions, Rich. The Patriots are in a must-win game, as I said. We both picked the Patriots to win last week against the Lions. We were both way off on that one. So I guess the hammer is still with me. I will go first. My predictions: Patriots-Dolphins today at 1 p.m. Again, the Patriots, I don't remember the last time they lost 3 straight. I don't remember the last time they've had their backs up to the wall this early in the season. And I don't remember the last time the Dolphins have beaten the Patriots at home. Those have all happened. I know that, but it's been a while since those 2 things have happened. And again, like I said, the Patriots lose today. They're in a lot of trouble. They're down 3 to the Dolphins with the tiebreaker. It's a very steep hole to get out of. I think the Patriots know the urgency they need to play with. I think they were very emotionless last week. I think they were very flat. It was a very ugly game. That's the kind of galvanizing experience that the guys rally around. I do not see the Patriots losing today, especially because I'm going to be at the game. I have a good track record watching them win live. I watched them play the Panthers last year, and they lost. So I can't lose 2 in a row in my own personal record. Nice little galvanizing factors there. So I'm going to go with the Patriots winning this one 24-17.
Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah, Alex Shane's back-to-back record. He hasn't lost 2 games in a row since 2000 whatever. You know, it's better than Tom Brady's. For whatever reason, the Patriots are favored by almost a touchdown this week. We are doing a survey of Patriots fans every single week this year at Pat's Pulpit, and we've found that the Patriots fan base is the least confident in the entire league. They don't expect anything from this team, which is kind of I don't know. There's like a dark humor there. Just like I mean, you're 1-2. The season's not over. They didn't have Julian Edelman. You're missing your 2 most important defenders. Yeah, it's like they were bad, but I guess like I know that I was saying that the defense has a lot of issues, but the sky isn't like completely out of the sky. It hasn't fallen. You still got pieces. I'm with you. This is a game that the Patriots, it is a must win. I think they rally when they need to. This is what happens every year, other than 2015, and that was just a different situation. 2013, 14, 16, 17, the first quarter of the season always looks very disappointing for New England. They figure it out. They get on track. Whatever happens, something clicks. Maybe it won't entirely click right now. The Patriots have a ridiculous stretch coming up. Short week against the Colts on Thursday. They go face the Chiefs, fortunately, again, also at home. Surprisingly good Bears team on the road at the Bills, so back-to-back. And then they host the Packers. So this is like a stretch where the Patriots could honestly split it. This is the game where they start turning it around, where you no longer wonder, like, oh my gosh, are they going to be able to do it? This is the last game before Julian Edelman returns. Josh Gordon is likely to play. So all the pieces are in place for New England to finally get that rebound game and for everyone to go, oh, why did we doubt them? That was silly of us. Why did we doubt them? And I expect the Patriots to win this one 28-24.
All right, here's hoping, man. Hopefully I'm right. Hopefully you're right. Hopefully you can start making predictions, because I'd much rather have a higher scoring game than a lower scoring game. And if you're out there today, if you're in section 332 with the nosebleeds, the degenerates, come say hi. Beers are on you.
Awesome. And so, Alec, I hope that y'all bring your good luck to the game. Enjoy it. Stay warm. It should be a nice day out. It looks pretty lovely out there. And so until next time, everyone, have a good one. Follow us on patspulpit.com for more Patriots information, and come listen to our podcast after the game. Later, Alec.
See you, bud.